What does it mean to stop performing and start being? While you ponder on that, I would like to share with you my journey towards being. I want you to close your eyes for me. And imagine a young girl who just radiates confidence. She is bold, charismatic, the kind of person who walks into every room like she owns it, ready to make the world shake. You can open your eyes. The girl I just described to you is not me. And if you thought it was, then you'd be wrong. There were many days I wished I could wake up and be this girl, but alas, I was not. Instead, I was an extremely timid, self-conscious, overzealous bookworm. Like you'd literally have to pry a book from my hands, a parent's worst nightmare, I know. As a middle child in a family of 7, I started to believe that just being wasn't enough. Books started to feel safer than people. I was afraid of being rejected, being made fun of, or worse, people thinking I'm actually literate. So, what happens now? You're probably thinking, Sydnie, all of this reading, you must have had such a creative mind. Yes, but I thought I had no one to share this with, no one to bounce off the wonderful worlds I've imagined in my mind because I thought no one would care to listen. So, feeling like a nuisance, I decided to look into what people did care about. Success. Success to me meant respect, honor, attention, validation, and most importantly, love. I wanted to become someone worth loving. And this philosophy led me to believe that I had to be more than just an adolescent book lover. I had to be more than just Sydnie. So, allow me to introduce myself and welcome you to my Museum of Success. Hi, my name is Sydnie Chandler Monet Collins. I began my journey in the performing arts at the age of 5, picked up piano lessons at 8, began my classical ballet training at 9, and never looked back. I became the founder of a literacy nonprofit at 12, started speaking about mental health advocacy, and became an activist against gun violence. I had all A's, except for that one Spanish class, became a motivational speaker, community leader, published author, and the host of a podcast called Perfect Timing at 15. I finished high school as student body president with a 4.5 GPA, might I add, ready to walk into Howard University with the same gusto from a childhood that did not reward mediocrity, but praised excellence. I became a walking resume. And guess what? The world rewarded me. Headlines, stages, opportunities. By that point, and honestly up until now, I had realized that I had tied my value and self-worth and compared it to every single thing that I have ever done. I had built this beautiful museum of success. On the outside, I looked like I had it all together, but inside, I was miserable. Sorry, guys. One day, I realized whenever I looked in the mirror, I wasn't seeing myself. In fact, I was actually mentally pasting my resume over my reflection, the titles, the accolades, the applause. There were so many days I was never able to remove that image, but when I did, I realized I couldn't recognize the girl staring back at me. I had spent all this time, and yet I realized that I couldn't recognize who Sydnie was without the accolades. All this time that I had spent working on building this museum, I had lost sight of who Sydnie was. And that terrified me. And what happens now when I'm no longer impressive? But maybe you've been there too. Maybe you're the overachiever. Maybe you're the one that's always on. You know how to deliver, but you don't know how to rest. You know how to show up, but you do not know how to be held, especially when you feel like you don't deserve it. We live in a culture that ties self-worth to productivity. And what does that tell us? It tells us that we are only as good as what we can achieve, post, or perform. But that's a lie, because here's the truth. You are enough, even when you're not impressive. Even when you're not the best team lead, even when you can't get the bills paid on time, even when some mornings you just can't get out of bed. When I was preparing this talk, my mentors reminded me of this. Self-love is not about choosing between success and authenticity. It is about accepting all of you. The ambitious you, the messy you, the vulnerable you. Taking down that resume and learning to love the person underneath it all, because you need to allow yourself to be held. The first time that I met Sydnie, not Sydnie, the podcast host, not Sydnie, the student body president, not Sydnie, the future president of the United States, just Sydnie, the human being, was the day I realized something powerful. I didn't have to perform to be loved. I could just be. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you look in the mirror, take down the resume. Take down the titles, the accolades, the highlight reels, the masks. Look into your own eyes and meet the person underneath it all. Because that person is worthy. That person is worthy of love. That person is worthy of rest. And that person is enough. Stop performing and start being. Thank you.